in the combustion process.
Mr. Schroeder has a chance.
Yeah, thanks a lot. My name's Paul Schrader. I live in Orono. Lots of bits and pieces of questions here. I hope that the committee finds a way to invite the university and come and speak for them, because they're an important part of this community for many of us who sort of want to know what they're doing and what's up. And it's a little distressing that, you know, the details of this are going to be announced through this committee after the contract is made. One of the reasons that this committee exists is that so the public can get fully informed about what's going on and what's being proposed. So, and I think that there are probably research studies on all sides of this question that could be brought forward, but we have very little to go on at this point as far as like informed comment. I wanted to follow up on a question that was raised by Ed Spencer, and that he asked a specific question about analysis. And I think that my question has to do with some of the figures that have been reported in the press. There was a statement that the university would benefit by the equivalent of something like 5,000 cars not being on campus, not coming to campus. And there was another statement that was made that the total carbon footprint of the university would actually be reduced by 30% if they went to this form of fuel. And when I went directly to the university and asked for the backup on that, and it's basically been a situation of, well, we'll get back to you, we don't really have that now, or we'll tell you when after the contract is signed. But I think that if these claims are being made out there in the public, somebody needs to at least explain them or stand by them. Was Casella the source of any of these greenhouse gas emission savings data that were in these press releases?
No, those are from the university.
So I guess that's a good reason to have the university come to us so we can ask those questions of them directly. They're the ones who put out the press release on it, but they're not available for asking about it. I had one other question about the liner. I only know bits and pieces about this, but it seems that what we've learned in the past is that the liner that's under the permitted facility is a different liner than what will be required when and if an expansion goes into effect. Is that correct?
That is yet to be determined, because we are not at the point of submitting an expansion application.
Okay.
And obviously the liner and its design will be a large part of that.
Okay, well, you know, a lot of indicators are that one of the main purposes that the DEP went along with the idea of a short order expansion was that they would have some leverage over what kind of a liner was under this facility. So that, I guess my question is if the figures that you're giving for this gas production facility are confined to the existing footprint and permitted landfill, you know, is the liner that's there, which is not apparently a contemporary or a standard liner for a landfill like this, if it were constructed today, is that liner suitable for a gas production facility? The liner that's actually in this permitted part today.
The liner is the barrier between the landfill and the underlying groundwater.
Right.
And it's what the leachate hits as it moves down through the landfill. Mm-hmm. Gas is going in the other direction.
Well, in Hamden, the gas is going out the bottom of the landfill.
It's coming from the unlined portion of the landfill. In Hamden.
So that's my question. Is the liner suitable and adequate for the kind of facility you're proposing?
In this case, there's no waste under the liner. It was not built in the way the landfill in Hamden was built.
So I guess that's yes. Okay.
I guess so.
Well, okay. I guess, you know, that we have what we have, and I guess we'll find out if it's suitable for a gas production facility. Sure. Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Did you have another question, Ann?
Yeah, I just had a follow up on the question about VOCs. So what if you're not flaring off the gas? You know, the gas is all together, so the VOCs aren't destroyed at the landfill like you're doing now. So what if you're putting the gas in the pipeline, and let's assume it's going to have to be filtered someplace to run turbines, engines of some sort. What happens to the byproducts then, if you will, the unusable, in other words, the non-methane, the VOCs, the sulfur compounds, that kind of thing? And maybe you could...
Well, you're going to have a combustion process either at the flare or at the landfill, if it's not going into the pipeline, or at the end of the pipeline at the university steam plant. It's a combustion process at either end.
So the VOCs are compatible with...
The VOCs are combusted.
Okay, so they're compatible.
Just as you would have VOCs at the top of a heating oil tank, and they're combusted when they go into the furnace. Same process.
What kind of, I know you extract quite a bit of sulfur at the Hamden facility. Are there other elements like that that are pulled out there that need to be landfilled someplace?
At the Hamden facility, what we are scrubbing the gas for is sulfur.
Okay.
And the byproduct of that scrubbing process, in fact, is elemental sulfur.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Graham.
The discussion has, maybe in your comment to an earlier question also brought another question to me, which has to do with the long run. You mentioned, we're rising, there'll be a plateau, and then it falls off. Does that mean in the long run there will be no longer the gas being transmitted, or is that going to mean in order to perpetuate the contract with the university that's going to put a tremendous investment into the line, does that mean that there will have to be a continual request for an expansion of the landfill in order to continue the methane going at least in terms of the cost advantage or whatever? I mean, does that mean that your contract is going to say this is only good for 50 years and stop, or is it going to mean, yeah, in 10 years we have to expand and then more in order to keep it going at the same level?
No, the agreement with the university will have a term to it. Can't tell you what that is because that's part of the agreement. But that agreement and its term are not predicated on an expansion occurring.
So the university is willing to say, we'll invest all this, get it for a certain number of years, and then it's gone, it's wasted, unless you expand. That's basically the way it looks.
Well, certainly
Is that why the university is holding off this thing? Wait a minute, that's not the way we're going to make this arrangement? If it only is good for 25 years? Is that what might be happening, or what?
Well, I haven't given you a time frame either of the term of the university or the landfill gas. But I think it's fairly safe to say that the landfill generation curve, even with the existing license, is longer than what we are talking about with the university.
Well, that might.
Wouldn't it be safe to say that they are looking at it and to amortize their investment and whatever gain that they make on reducing their fuel costs? I would suspect that's what they would do.
I mean, again, the university is the one that is, assessing all this and determining if it's in their best interest to do it, as we are.
Don, is it safe to say that the landfill gas in usable volumes is a finite resource? I think
Yes, it is.
in usable volumes.
Yes. I guess the way I could express this is that the landfill is going to generate a certain amount of methane over a period of time. There is a finite amount of organic matter in the landfill. Given enough time, that is all going to decompose and methane is going to be produced. Now, there are things that can be done to either slow that down or accelerate it. But the amount of methane that the landfill is going to generate is a fixed amount.
Mr. Lighthouse.
Chuck Lighthizer, West Street. I read an article in the Bangor Daily sometime this summer that seemed really counterintuitive to me, and it was about Pine Tree, and that to trying to increase the gas extracted, they increased the vacuum, I think is how you explain it, and they actually got more odors in the local surrounding area, and it said something that was because more oxygen coming in or anything. Can you try and help me understand any of that?
I'm not sure of the article that you're referring to, and for some reason that doesn't quite add up to me.
No, it didn't make much sense to me either.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah,
did they indeed have to try and raise the vacuum and then cut it back down again?
The more vacuum you put on a landfill,
It seemed like more it should
the
suck
more of the gas that is being generated you're going to collect.
That's why it didn't seem
What you have to balance is that if you put too much of a vacuum on the landfill, you're going to pull air in from the outside. The oxygen content is going to go up, and you really don't want that to happen.
I think that's what it was saying. It had something to do with there was too much oxygen coming in, and that caused more local odor.
Well, no, it
It was
wouldn't.
more-
It wouldn't cause more local odor. You know, what I think people probably didn't fully understand is that in the time interval in which the gas to energy project country was being built and the first couple of years of operation was also the same time that the landfill was going through its closure process. And part of the closure process is taking off and disturbing what had been an intact
Cap.
and fairly tight cover, because in order to complete the closure and complete the cap, you have to take things off, you have to have vehicles up there, you have to mess things up, and whenever you disturb what has been in place for a while, you are unavoidably going to get odor. And so I think because you had both things going on at the same time, I think people tended to associate one with the other when they were in fact two different things going on. And not independent of one another because they're both dealing with the gas. But it was really this closure activity and this construction that was going on, which was really, I think, in large part the source of the odors that people were experiencing.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Mr. Marha? Okay. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.